Joining us now is May Malin. She is a senior legal fellow at the Women's Law Center. May, thanks so much for being with us. Justice Thomas said everyone is treated equal before the law, regardless of race. Do you agree?
Well, Justice Thomas acknowledged that in our country, we might not all be colorblind. You, and I just walking around, we see America, we each have our own experiences. But under the Constitution sets forth rules that are our ideal that we must work toward. And we did an experiment. You talked about, 45 years ago, we thought, well, why don't we just see how this goes, see how sort of racial balancing and diversity goes as far as checking a box with race and seeing how the class looks. And it hasn't gone well. The number of students at the bottom income quartile that are allowed into universities is not particularly higher than it was then. Test scores for African Americans is not noticeably higher than it was. And so it's hard to say, looking back at 45 years, I'm really proud of the progress that has been made. And instead, even the last guest said there's been less diversity. And Thomas, in a lot of his opinions, has said, well, how can you be surprised by that? If you're telling a group of people that you put a badge of inferiority on people and you say you don't have to have the same grades, you don't have to have the same test scores, of course people are not going to level up if they are told not to. So I reject, I guess, the idea that the past 45 years have shown us the benefits of the old system, and that the culmination was Harvard literally discriminating against Asian students who were poor and who had no opportunity, and telling them it doesn't matter.
Who do you think benefits from affirmative action?
So, I think we should separate affirmative action, which will still happen and universities can still use, and then racial discrimination, which universities cannot use. So as universities move forward and try to have to achieve the benefits of diversity, which I think is good. I went to Harvard, and it was nice to have law students who are not exactly like me. I was a poor kid from Kansas. I was there with kids from all over the place. As people should seek affirmative action, it should be people who haven't had the same opportunities as maybe somebody who graduated from a private college, private high school on the Upper East Side. And that could look like a lot of things. That could look like poor kids. That could look like kids whose parents didn't go to college. That could look like kids who only had one parent or no parents. That could look like kids from small towns. That could look like kids from inner cities. That could look like a whole bunch of things. But what it shouldn't look like is tell me what race you are, because that tells me nothing about how you think. Black people think all sorts of things. White people think all sorts of things. Asian people, it doesn't tell me anything about your diversity. It tells me about your skin color. And if we want to target, the people who have been negatively affected by slavery, then we should be looking at that story. Tell me about that story, and then benefiting the people who have been harmed by their circumstances.
May, we really appreciate your perspective. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.